All right, so today we're almost finished with mindset in New York, and we're going to talk. I think tomorrow is the next video will be the last one, which is about systems. But we're going to talk about priorities because before you even set up systems, you got to get your priorities straight. So when you're flipping, which is wholesaling and rehabbing in New York, you got to know what your priorities are. And I've spoken to people who are starting out, and they're asking questions that should not be asked. Things about which attorney should they use? These people don't have a deal yet, right? So your priorities when you're first starting out are finding a way to get leads. And we're going to have a bunch of videos on how to get leads and what system should be in place for that. But you got to know what your priorities are. So mindset is a big deal because you've got to sort of lay out a plan for what you're going to do. So if you've done deals already, or if you have a deal in contract, then attorney is your priority. But in the beginning, it's got to be how to get leads to get deals. That is a priority. For us right now, it's really setting up systems to scale. So we hired a dispositions manager and a leads manager, and we're trying to get them going, and it's working out great. But every stage of your progression of the business, it's different. But you got to figure out what your priorities are. What do you need? If you haven't read The One Thing by Gary Keller, it's an amazing book, but it tells you there's one thing you got to focus on that if you accomplish it, it'll make other things easier. So that's your priorities. In New York, it's really important because, like we said in earlier videos, in other places, it's really easy to get things going, right? If you buy a list and you make calls and the people say yes, it's simple. In New York, the sales cycle is so long that if you don't set up your entire system and pipeline in place and know what your next priority is, it's going to be months. And that's a reason why a lot of people that try to start flipping in New York don't continue because they get going, they get a deal or two, and then it just takes so long for them to get their next deal because they weren't focusing on what they really needed to do. So you have to know what your priorities are. And these are things that, if you had questions on, we can help you with. And we'll be happy to help you and tell you what your next thing is. But you need to know what that one thing is you need to do, and you need to get your priorities straight. It's more important in New York than in other parts of the country because of the time it takes between when you start prospecting and when you finally close a deal.